call the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee meeting 1/15/26 to order. And do we have any public comment?
No public comment.
Item 3, the consent agenda. Consider approving the December 18th, 2025 Animal Shelter Advisory Committee regular meeting minutes. Amanda?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
I heard a second or two, and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Moving to the regular agenda, presentation of monthly shelter performance for December 2025, presentation made by Animal Services Manager Amanda Weedle.
Thank you. So for the month of December, we actually had 214 new arrivals. We had 78 adoptions and one that was pending surgery, so it wasn't actually counted in our total numbers for December. It went after the first of the year for surgery, and then it was closed out in the system. We had 44 animals transferred to rescue, 57 redeemed by an owner, 3 wildlife released, 59 deceased, and at the end of the month, we had 263 animals left in custody with a 75% release rate. Of the deceased animals, it was broken down of 45 dogs, 14 cats, and 0 other. Of those that were deceased, our euthanasia numbers were 19 aggressive, 21 sick or injured, 14 for capacity, and 3 for bite investigations. We had 2 animals die in custody. They were kittens and puppies that were failure to thrive. Our field services calls were up on the total to 800. 351 of those were stray response calls, 293 were enforcement and rechecks, 70 were wildlife calls, 34 animal bite investigations, 43 transportations, and 9 owner release or seizure intakes. Of the animal bites, we had 26 animal to human. That is to be expected in the month of December with the holidays and everybody gathering together. The animals are put into a more stressful situation, as well as we had 8 animal to animal bites. For the month of December, we had 55 citations issued. 13 were for dog at large, 3 were for failure to quarantine, 22 were for failure to spay or neuter, 15 were failure to vaccinate, and 2 were illegal chaining. Next month, we do plan to do a comparative of the prior year so that we can show the increase of enforcement.
Are there any questions for Amanda from the dais?
Yes, I have a question. So those numbers look a lot better than the previous month in November. Do you think it was just because of the holidays and more people wanting to adopt?
Which one specifically, the adoptions?
Well, yeah, your adoption specifically went up, and as well as your euthanasia for capacity went down.
Correct. So yes, the holidays played a lot into it. Also, we are ramping up. A lot of word of mouth has gotten out about the success of our adoptions.
Good.
You will see in the year review as far as how many have actually been returned from an adoption. So I'm really proud of the team for that because we are making sound, responsible adoption plans.
Good.
And so when people are making these decisions, they are making a very conscientious, life-changing, and permanent decision.
Good. Thank you.
Any other questions, Jatan?
When you get a return, where are those counted?
As far as a adoption return, it's a new intake. So,
New intake? Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Anyone else? Moving on to item B, the regular agenda, presentation of Animal Services 2025 year-end totals. Amanda?
So I just decided I wanted to show this as an established baseline. We are now doing adoptions. We are now getting everything set up to reduce our euthanasia rates, and we want to be able to track our successes and our areas of needing improvement. And this will give us the opportunity to see better trends, high-risk areas, things of that nature. So as far as intake goes, for 2025, we had 366 owner surrenders, 190 seized or custody animals, 2,528 stray impounds, 2 transferred in, and 187 wildlife impounds. On our outcomes, now for the adoptions, it's been from October to December. There were 159 adoptions total for those 3 months. Of those, only 2 were permanently returned as not going to work out for the family. We actually had 3 returns total for those 3 months. The third one, after they corrected the situation that was preventing them from keeping the animal, they readopted the animal. We had 1,533 transfer outs. I do expect that number to trend down some as we have concluded our agreement with PAWS. However, the numbers are staying pretty steady when you add adoptions and transfers. We actually did about 20 more outtakes that way with a combination of adoptions and transfers last month than the previous year. We had 452 returned to owners, 166 wildlife releases. We did have 136 died in custody. Again, these are mostly puppies, injured animals, and kittens that have a failure to thrive. We did have a total of 877 euthanasias. Our live release rate was 70.23%.
I know that you've probably answered this question, and since I missed some meetings, please, I apologize in the beginning. When you talk about transferred out, and I'm glad to see y'all's adoption success, I am. So when we talk about transferred out, and you're not contracting with PAWS, but are they still being transferred out to any of the other groups here in San Angelo that foster dogs?
So we are actually having a lot of success with transfers of multiple rescues. We have 2 in Abilene that have been pulling animals from us. We have several in San Angelo that have been pulling. A lot of the big name rescues have been pulling, and PAWS continues to pull.
Okay.
So it's all around beneficial.
And I like that. I like that everybody is participating and because, you know, people may go to this one and not that one, and see what the available animals are. But I'm also happy that there's people that are fostering those animals so that they're not a potential candidate for euthanization simply because of crowding. Thank you.
Tell me again what all is included in that transferred out number? Is that just the rescues?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Tell me again what that transfer out includes.
Yes, that is
Just to
transferring to
rescues.
rescues.
All rescues, okay. And you said there's one in some Abilene that's a rescue?
We have a
now?
couple in Abilene that we've been contacting with, and example, All Kind Abilene, the shelter that is rescue ran for the city of Abilene, they transferred 16 cats to them because they were low on cats.
Okay. Okay.
As far as field services, we had 5,132 field services, and you can see the breakdowns of 2,853 for stray, 1,475 for enforcement and rechecks, 700 for wildlife, 304 total bite investigations, 152 transports, and 243 owner releases. This is the breakdown of the citations. I'm not going to go through each individual one. The highest was the spay and neuters with 158 citations. We are adjusting some of the enforcement, so I do expect that number to trend up as far as how many total are issued at the end of next year.
On that one,
I'm sorry, I was about to ask if there were any more questions.
Well, on that last slide, will you pull that very last one up? Where it says, is that the very last one? Hold on. Oh, the 5 for selling animals. Are those just people that are like in parking lots and y'all find them? Or are they, is that through an investigation that's long or?
It could encompass either. I'm not sure of the specifics on these 5. This was prior to my joining the city.
Okay.
Any other questions? Well, good. And moving on to item C, update on proposal to improve conditions at the animal shelter facilities, including new kennel pod structures and future administration building, made by construction manager Al Torres.
Good afternoon, Board. Chairman Horton, Amanda, thanks for having me come back. And I just want to give you all an update on where we are on the shelter improvements. I think all of y'all were here last time, but I'm going to, for the sake of the public and any viewers, I'm going to go ahead and go through the slides that are presented at council as well. So all of you are familiar with where the site is located, where the animal shelter is. So basically, in a nutshell, these are the issues that we've been looking at for some time now. The shelter, as you all know, is in need of a lot of improvements. What we were looking at primarily were the building issues in the kennel area, which included drainage, ventilation and HVAC, noise and smell, disease control, the animal health, and then public interaction with the dogs. All of those were issues that we were trying to address with the project we were working on. So if you, as you recall, and you're familiar, because we've made other presentations, we were working on trying to rehab that large dog kennel space that's currently at the shelter. And we had some fixes in place, but they weren't going to be permanent best case fixes. So Amanda and her group came up with this idea of pods, which is something that's being done in other facilities, as we talked about last time. And what these do is we are creating smaller pod kennels with about 20 to 25 kennels in each building. They are oriented to where they're not all facing each other, so there's less interaction between dogs, so hopefully they're not barking as much. But they're also outdoor kennels. We have kennels, each of these pods, and you'll see a plan here in a minute, but there's 20 to 25 kennels, and then each kennel has a guillotine door to an outside kennel area. And then there are sidewalks that lead from the animal shelter out to these pods and go around the pods. So people in the public, excuse me, losing my voice. People in the public can walk around these sidewalks around the outside of the kennels and see the dogs from the outside. Each kennel building will be self-sufficient. Each one will have its own HVAC, its own plumbing. Everything will be self-sustained. If you have questions about the staffing, I'll let Amanda deal with that. But and then each kennel, like I said, will have outside access. There'll also be some meet and greet areas, kind of where there are intersections, basically fenced-in areas. A facility that we went and looked at had some nice meet and greet areas that were sponsored by different businesses. So that's an idea for, down the road that they could look at to get more of these meet and greet areas spruced up, maybe pay for some shade canopies, things like that. But we will have these meet and greet areas where I know they're working more on adoption, so this gives people places they can pull the dogs out and interact with them one-on-one. So the project itself, council, when we presented this to council last time, that we had told them we wanted to look at doing maybe 3 pods and then a 4th pod as an alternate because we weren't sure about the money. We were directed to go ahead and design for all 4 pods and we will figure out the budgeting as we get closer. The design for these 4 pods and these numbers, I want to stress that I'm being conservative. I'm hoping that the design can be done in 3 months, but I'm still waiting on a proposal, so I'm still presenting 4 months, which would start us in May. Construction of all 4 pods, I'm showing 8 months, but again, optimistically, I'd like to say we can do it in 6, but for now, I'm going to show 8 until we've got more information. Phase 2 construction, which is an admin building, I don't have a time frame because at this point, we were directed to, we're not going to address that until we're farther along in this process. The admin building is a whole separate project. We are leaving room for an admin building, so that if that does become something we want to look at down the road, we have room and kind of a rough idea of how we would work. We have a floor plan we were working on, so that at least we have an idea of where things would go, so that everything flows if we do somewhere down the road come up with money and build that and then do away with the existing shelter. But for now, we're looking at the 4 pods. So currently, we have just a little over $2 million in funds that are available for this project. The 4 pods would be roughly $1.6 million. Site work, permits, and fees, another $550,000, so a total cost of $2,150,000. So there's the site plan. You can see the ones that are in color are the 4 pods, the 4 new pods. And you can see there's a sidewalk that leads from them over to the main building. That aligns with that back door, that hallway that's just outside the large dog kennel. So the public that was going out to see the dogs, they would still use that same hallway to get out there. The large dog kennel, we haven't addressed exactly what they're going to do with it, but it will basically be put to other uses. Part of it may be abandoned, but Amanda, I'm sure she has plans for that.
So it will be shut down as far as animal housing. We won't be using that as an auxiliary area as far as overflow, but we are looking at uses as far as if we can remodel it into a play area, meet and greets, things of that nature.
Okay. This again is the prototype pod. You can see there's, I haven't counted them, but I think there's 22 kennels in this version, something like that. And then 2 rooms on the end for sinks and storage and items like that. And then you can see the kennels on the outside. Each of these has CMU walls on the sides, and then either plastic laminate and a combination of plastic laminate and chain link. And I think Amanda's been looking at different wall types. So
We're looking at what's called a starlight walling, and it's going to be, it's non-porous plastic, but it is thick where they can't break through it. It is a common practice as far as what are used for kennels nowadays. The fronts will be the starlight on the bottom so that they're not seeing the other animals across the hall and reducing the stress factor. Also a sound barrier. And then the top will be bars so that we can see into it.
and they're fairly simple buildings. I mean, they're, the kennels, they'll have floor drains, hose reels for washing the floors down. Each unit will be conditioned on it, separately from the other buildings. And really, that's about it on the buildings. There's the example that we went and looked at. Again, like I said, these are CMU. You can see the outdoor kennels there on the 2 pictures on the left, and the one on the right is one of the individual meet and greet areas.
When y'all went to go visit that, did they have about 22 a pod?
I believe so, yes.
That-
I think they had about 24 in each. And that, what we're looking at is right at 24 piece. That was the initial calculations. And with 2 of those being extra large, and then the rest of them being standard size for the larger breed dogs.
Okay.
Okay, but if there's only 4 pods and they each hold 22, that's only 88.
It was going to total up to 96 total.
So where else are we going to put
Well, we
dogs?
still have isolation, we still have quarantine, we still have puppy ward. So those have to be factored in as far as the total capacity as well.
But what will be the total capacity?
It'll remain 140.
Okay, thank you.
Right, and those other places, they're inside the existing facility, but they're going to remain. So they're not part of that large dog kennel where we're having issues. And that was it. If you have questions, I'd be glad to try to address them.
So you said that your capacity, 20 to 25, I mean, that's a net of 20 difference. What's the factor on deciding if it's 20 or 25?
If you go back to the plan, and again, we're going to, that went too far. So, like I said, I'm waiting on a design proposal from the architects, the Friesen Nichols engineers. If they suggest something otherwise than this, it comes up a little better. If we have the money, we can make it 4 foot bigger and add another pod. We'll do that. But for right now, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's 22 in each building right now, currently, by this floor plan.
Okay, and how many healthy dogs kennels do we have right now at the old building?
Within the general population room, there's 120 total kennels. However, not all of them are functioning. So since we've done the plumbing, we are down to right about 110.
Okay, so that's
96 and 110. It's going to level out because some of these, like I said, with the large kennels, are going to have household dogs. So if they're siblings, things like that, they'll be together.
Okay. How much of the old building is used for cats? Is any of it used for cats?
I'm sorry?
Is any of the old building used for cats?
Yes, all of it is. We have 4 different wards for cats
And are they going to stay?
currently. The goal is to get approval after the pods are done for a revitalized and new admin building, but because of the costs associated with that and the overall cost of the project, we did not want to include that in this. Our
Right.
focus was the dogs right now.
So with the new admin building, that would have cats?
Correct. And it's also going to, again, it'll still house our quarantine, our isolation, our puppies, our strays.
Okay.
So when we're factoring in our total numbers, those are a big contributing factor.
Okay.
And 2 points is, number one, in the kennels, the existing kennels, a lot of those are pretty small. They're 3 foot by 4 foot. These are all larger kennels. I think the smallest one is 4 by 8 or something like that. But on the cats, the existing facility does have cat areas. They're not happy with the way that they're laid out. So we do want to address that. They want more daylight, more outdoor exposure.
Sure.
But they are functioning as is, so they don't have the drainage issues and the same issues, the smell that the dog area does. So for now, they can continue to work with them that way until we can address a new building down the road.
Can you give us more details on that, excuse me, the 400,000 for permits and fees?
Sure. The 400,000 per building is based on just kind of a rough estimate by me, but again, once we hire the engineers, they'll be able to do a better, it's 400,000 per pod. So that's 1.6 million, 400,000 each.
That's the breakdown of the 1.6?
Yes.
So permits, fees.
So basically 4 pods at 400,000 each is $1.6 million. The site work is all the sidewalks, the landscaping, the irrigation,
So the
the
400,000
meet
is
and
the
greet areas.
construction too?
Yes, correct.
Oh, okay.
And then the permits, fees, testing, the engineer's fees, again, until I get the proposal, I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing 250,000 thereabouts. And then fees, testing, when you do concrete, you have to test it. Permits, there's a big permit fee that's attached to the project. So all of that lumped together comes out to $2,150,000. That's construction and everything.
Okay, that's where the construction was. Okay, thank you.
Do you have any other questions for Al? Thank you, Al.
Thank you.
Moving on to regular agenda item D, present Animal Services 2026 goals. Amanda?
So these are going to be a transactional, through the process goals. These are just giving you all an outline of kind of what we in Animal Services are striving to work towards this year. And so I wanted to kind of let y'all know for what we're trying to do for our growth, where we recognize opportunities for improvement, and so that we can maintain transparency on what we're trying to do. So regarding animal care, our top priority right now is to get this going on the pods. Al's been working very sufficiently and quickly to try to get everything lined up so that we can start the design phase and we can start the construction quickly. And this is for the improved air quality for the animals, for the people, decreased stressors for the animals, improved disease control, overall improvement of quality of life. And that is a big driving factor of what animal care is. So we want to make sure that this is continuing. We are also going to be looking at researching and applying for grants to look at increased resources so that we can do more for animal care, for equipment on medical side, for equipment for our animal services officers to better serve the city. We are looking at spay and neuter initiatives so that we can potentially broaden what we are currently doing as far as spay and neuters. And we're looking at what other grants would be available to a municipality. We are working on expanding offsite events, adoption locations and things of that nature to get our animals seen and out there. Our goal is once a quarter currently. That way every 3 months we have an adoption event. We're also looking at expansion of the microchip events so that we can get more animals in compliance with the microchip requirements. We are also looking at what services and what modules for Pet Point, which is our data software that we keep all of our animals' records in, how we can expand that and better use it. So we're looking at the medical side of it to be able to track vaccines better, surgeries better, flea and tick medications, things of that nature, and how we can use it for potentially inventory of those products that we utilize. We are also looking at the case system to see if we can do a dispatching system for better tracking and better organization of the calls that come in for calls for service. We are looking at volunteer programs. Like I said before, I've been researching other municipalities and how they have it set up as far as application training and maintaining it. A lot goes into this, and part of this is going to be prepping for the budgetary 2026 so that we can make sure that we have the sufficient funding for staffing to maintain it properly. We do have to look at, with volunteer programs, what is legal for municipalities, whereas rescues have a little more leeway on that. So we've got to make sure that we have all of our things in order before we start the process. As I said before, we do have a dog walking program, at least for now, so that the animals are getting that interaction and walking and socialization, and it has been very beneficial and very productive. We're looking at foster programs with the municipality as far as the medical responsibility of costs for a foster program. We have to make sure that we have sufficient funding for that, for these animals that are in care of individuals. We are also looking at what the application would look like, what the training would look like, and how to maintain the animals out of foster. If they have to return, how it affects our capacity for the purposes of making sure that we don't tip the scales for capacity euthanasias. We are also looking at field services. Again, we're looking at Pet Point as far as a dispatching system to see if we can put the calls in at the beginning of receiving the calls for better dispatching. We are also looking at enhanced animal care information on our website. And one of the big things that's going to loop in with that is the ordinance revisions that we are looking at We have a meeting at the end of the month with legal as far as recommendations for ordinance revisions and what we can and cannot do. We're comparing different cities. We're looking at the tasks that the task force put forth as goals to make sure that we are in line with those as well. And we are in line with the state laws and common practices of different municipalities.
It's just a suggestion. I know that my grandchildren are in high school and that they are involved in clubs and things that require them to perform community service. And I have suggested to the Tri-Hawaiis and others that maybe those kids could come out, I mean, they're 17, 18 years old, could come out and participate in walking the dogs and socializing those dogs. I don't know if there's been any outreach to other groups. I don't know if they responded to you or not. I suggested it because they're constantly searching for someplace where they can go do community service. And I know you guys are in need, but you might reach out to them. I've suggested they reach out to you, but, you know, I don't know if that happened or not. But I'm just saying that there's other groups that maybe don't know. So how do we get that out to the public that you would welcome, you know, responsible, capable people that would be able to come participate like that?
So currently, we don't allow anyone under 18 to
Okay.
walk, and that's a liability issue.
Okay.
And the walking is very limited right now just to adults over 18 that sign the waiver and follow the rules that we have set out. And we've got the rules posted on our front desk, so when they come in to sign up, it's right there for everybody. We are posting on Facebook as far as dog walkers appreciated, so that they know when they can come and things of that nature. Right now, the volunteering is very limited, and a lot of it goes into the structure of the way the kennels are set up and how we have to move animals to clean. It limits us as far as what community service we can do because a lot of the liabilities of interactions with the animals and bite and scratch risks are at play. So with the new pod construction, that's integral to expanding community service to for not just community advocates like high schoolers, but also for community service workers that are trying to pay off a service to the community for a violation that they've done. I was trying to word it as best I could.
Well, you did a lovely job, let me tell you.
But I really want to tap into that. But currently, with the way the kennels are set up, it's just a very poor setup to effectively do that. And so that's why we want to get these pods done for that, so that we can welcome more of this going on.
Well, and I know ASU's got a number of groups that require community service too, and, you know, most people just adore dogs, so.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you for that information.
The volunteers don't have to be just doing the walking. They can clean too.
The problem-
Especially with community service. And if you've got somebody who's an adult out there walking the dog, you know, their 15-year-old son, let's say, can go clean that kennel.
The problem with how we have to clean currently is because they don't have anywhere else to move that animal. The animal is in the walkway at all times.
Right, and I understand that right now you can't do it.
Correct.
I'm just suggesting for future, let's not just
Absolutely.
limit it to dog walking and socialization, but actually helping you all not have to hire so many extra people.
And that's the goal with
to get it done.
with the pods, because they're gonna have outdoor, indoor runs. So even if the animal isn't being
Right,
walked,
right.
it can be put outside
Yep.
while someone's cleaning inside.
Right.
And that opens up that liability for community service, for volunteer services and things of that nature to assist in that
Right.
area. And so we're really looking forward to the completion
Yeah.
of those to broaden that.
Especially for that young age, if they're under 18, they need to learn what it means to take care of a pet and the responsibility of it. It is not just, you know, playing with puppies. They poop, they eat, they do all that kind of stuff, and it's good that they, I think that's part of the benefit in the long run of people who, you know, see that cute little puppy and buy it, and as soon as they're not cute anymore, they
And there
turf it
are
off.
broader goals that I have, not just in the 1 year, but these are the things that I'm trying to immediately tackle this year, so that it is benefiting the public, the animals, all around.
Good, good. You point
If
fingers,
everything,
getting-
if everything
yeah.
lines up, y'all will see great things.
Good, good.
So.
Can you explain Pet Point?
So Pet Point is a 24 Pet Watch sheltering management software. The current one that we have is a free software that is offered to shelters that utilize 24 Pet Watch microchips, which we do. That software is, I'm diving into it every day. I have meetings with software developers with them to try to learn more of the things that aren't just readily used. Like I said, we've already been putting in the vaccines for medication management, things of that nature, which previously were not listed in there. So we are
And this
broadening
is at
this.
no cost to the shelter?
Currently, correct.
Okay.
And that's what we have to find out is
Yeah.
the things that we want it to do we need to pay additionally for
Right,
those
right.
modules?
Right, because that would be something to consider in
Correct.
scoping too. Yeah, okay, thank you.
On the, can minors go out there with their parent and walk right now?
They can be with their parents, but the parent has to do the walking.
Hold the leash?
Yeah,
Okay.
the only one we are allowing to walk currently is the parents. And it's because of some of the very big dogs that we have, and
Yeah,
very
sure.
rambunctious ones.
Okay. And then I have a question. For the ACOs, when they make calls, do they have to come back to the office to do their paperwork? Or do
Currently,
they?
yes. We do not have transport tablets or computers in the trucks.
I thought some were donated. No?
I do not know of any of that.
From the police?
Right now, they have desktops. That is something that we are looking into at a later time, because that is one thing that,
Well,
quite
but
frankly, I'm used to. So,
you're used to
Correct.
having the tab. Well,
Correct.
if they're on the road, a lot of times, every time they're going back to the office to do paperwork, and then they get a call, they have to leave again.
generally, they're putting them in at the end of their shift, with the shift overlap that we have.
Okay.
It gives them the opportunity to either do it for the previous day, the morning after, or for our late shift. And then for our morning shift, like I said, at the end of the shift, when the afternoon people are taking primary.
So the software you're looking at would be able to tie those in?
So
or-
it is a web-based. So if it has a dispatching module where the front desk person who is taking the initial call can put it in, getting computers will make it a lot more efficient for them to put in their notes, to put in their violations and contacts and everything. And that's what we're trying to do, is cut that time down that they have to manually enter each call at the end of their shift.
Okay, good.
I have a couple questions. I know that you said you want to expand the events and the community outreach. Are we still going to Homeless Navigation Day?
So we do have it as something, and it is a goal to get back with
Okay.
it. There have been some roadblocks the last couple of months. However, we do have it on our calendar to go back to that.
Okay, awesome. And then as far as volunteering goes, are volunteers ever allowed to supervise play groups?
So the only thing they are allowed to do currently is walk.
Just walking, okay?
Correct.
Because there was recently a post on Facebook that, people were concerned about. And honestly, and I know it was just a glimpse in time, but at first glance, it did seem like there was some overstimulation and a little bit of,
So that picture in question, because it was brought to my attention immediately, if you look in there, there is actually someone walking to address those animals right then and there.
okay.
However, they were puppies that were doing very well in playtime. It was a bad picture. Yes.
Sure, okay.
I'd like to address the potential for the foster program. And this is basically not a question, it's more of a public statement. And that is that we have to make sure that we have a really solid vetting process in place before we allow any kind of fostering.
In complete agreement.
Yeah. It's somewhat easier for rescue groups to do fostering because, as we discussed yesterday, there are individuals that are basically assigned to each foster family to address the issues with the animal on a day-to-day basis as required, where the shelter might not necessarily have that flexibility or that option.
Correct.
So we have to be really careful about a foster program. I think there's a term in the rescue community called foster fails.
Correct.
And foster fail would be defined as someone who would allow the animal shelter to pay for the care and feeding of their pet in perpetuity.
Correct.
And that's one side of it. The other side of it is we want to make sure that the families have the desire and the wherewithal to maintain the pet during the tenure. That's really all I have to say about that.
Absolutely.
Just a note on that, I was the foster care coordinator for Idaho Humane Society. So if you ever want to just brainstorm that kind of thing, I'm happy to provide insight, best practices. That kind of thing.
Absolutely.
That's perfect. Thank you, Chrysanthemum. Are there any more questions about goals? Are there any follow-up or administrative issues we need to discuss today? With that said, I look for a motion for adjournment.
A motion to adjourn?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, folks.